Hello, hello, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Saturday. Brie Sodano here, coming to you live today. And today we are going to be talking about spending your money on purpose and some things that will cause some abundance blocks, like energetic money blocks. So, I'm going to give you some tips around energy, and I'm going to give you some very practical things to do to feel good in your spending. So, if this is your first time ever getting to meet me, my name is Brie Sodano. I'm a personal finance expert and the founder of From Sheep to Shark. I invented the invisible system to stop bleeding money and start stacking cash. All right, so let's just get into this. All right, and as we go, if you feel so inclined to comment or to engage with me, I would love that. It helps make my presentations a little bit more fun for both of us. And also, if you feel like you should, if you feel like a friend that would benefit from hearing, feel free to tag them or to share this into their inbox. I always appreciate that. We stopped running ads, so I get all my new people just from referrals, and that's how we're changing the world. All right, so let's do this thing. You ready? You ready? All right. So when the first thing I want you to understand is that money is a flow. Money comes in to your life and your income, and money goes out. And the thing that we do to make money is that we generally trade our time, our expertise, our attention, however you put it, it's our time and our energy. We trade to be able to make money, right? So I'm doing this for you today in an attempt. I mean, eventually, I'm not selling anything today, but you might buy something from me one day. And so I'm putting time and attention into you. There may be an exchange, and then that money will come into my paycheck, it will come into my business, and then I will spend it. So I want you to think about that the flow of money, right? So when we spend our time and energy to be able to get money, like a little battery. These are just earbuds, but imagine it like a little battery of time and attention battery. And then I get to spend the money to be able to buy something that somebody else has put their time and attention into, whether or not that's an item or a service or an experience or whatever, right? Like, so let's just think about this for a second. I coach people on their money. I'm very good at that. I'm not good at making paper. I don't know how to make paper. So I was able to spend $5. I don't actually remember how much this cost, but let's just say it was $5, and I bought this piece of paper. But if I had to have the materials to be able to make this Post-it note, I would never write anything down, right? It wouldn't work. So sometimes we get a little jammed up with our money when we feel like there's not enough money, or we feel bad about spending money. And so then when we are spending our money, maybe we feel a little guilty, or we feel a little sad, or we feel a little remorseful, or we feel a little fearful about it. The first thing that I want you to remember about money is that all money gets spent. Money is a flow. It comes in and it goes out. And so even if you're buying an investment, you're still buying something. We call it investing, which is a different word than spending, but you're buying an asset. You're spending your money to buy a little piece of a company if you're buying a stock, or you're spending your money to buy a house if you're buying real estate, or you're spending your money to buy some sort of business upgrade if that's what you're doing, right? And so even if you're investing, you're still spending your money. And the other thing that we can do with our money is store it. We can hang on to it. We can build it up to spend it in a bigger increment later, right? So like I live in Connecticut, we pay a lot of money for heating up here. And so every month of the year, I put some money aside in my working capital account. So that way, when the winter happens and I'm writing, $700 or $800 heating bills, I have the money. And then that way it's not hard for me. It's not stressful, right? So when we remember that we're trading our money for the time and energy that we spent time and energy at work doing the one thing that we're really good at doing. The money makes that time and energy into potential that we can do anything with, right? Like I can take money, I could buy earbuds, I could buy a cell phone, I could pay a bill, I could buy a bottle of water, I could buy an experience, I could go out to dinner, I could do anything I want with that money. And in doing that, that's the time and energy that I'm getting in exchange for the time and energy I spent at work. The entire point of going to work The entire point of making money is to build a life, is to build a life that you want to live in, right? So some of us are buying houses, some of us are paying rent, some of us are buying clothes. You get to pick what you do with your life. You get to pick. The issue that we have with our spending is sometimes we make spending feel bad, and that jams up the flow of the money, right? So if imagine like money comes in this tube and then it goes back out. Well, if I get all constricty on one side of it, if I let the money get tight, it it ultimately affects my ability to earn. And this is good. This is a silly thing, but imagine if you go somewhere and you want to eat and you eat super spicy chicken wings, and they're good. You enjoy them on the way in, but then tomorrow you poop some fire and you don't enjoy them on the way out. And it hurts. And there's a little discomfort there. The next time you go to that same restaurant, you're going to remember, the last time I had those chicken wings, I had to poop fire. So today I don't want to have those chicken wings. And our subconscious does that if we have a lot of issues with our spending. If our spending is very constipated, if our spending hurts, if our spending, is a very uncomfortable thing, it eventually will jam up your capacity to earn because your subconscious is like, why bother? Like, if we have enough to eat food and enough to pay the bills, and if I have to spend anything unnecessary or any extra or anything I enjoy, I get all constipated and I feel guilty. I feel remorseful. I feel shameful of what I've spent. Why bother? What's the point? I'll be okay if I just do this. So the way to start to think about spending intentionally, the first thing that we want to do, we already kind of talked about, but it's to come to terms with the fact that all money gets spent. And so then it becomes about spending your money intentionally, spending your money on purpose, right? And so this is where people talk about budgeting, right? And so the thing about budgets that nobody ever really talks about is that budgets are in support of a life plan. Budgets are not a control. I mean, budgets, they typically use budgets as a control mechanism. But if you're controlling without knowing what you're building, it just sucks. It's just terrible. It feels bad. It's boring and you don't want to do it. And then, but your budget doesn't get stuck to. And that's why in the richest country in the world, 80% of people are paycheck to paycheck, right? Because we don't stick to our budgets. But nobody talks about you're creating a life on purpose. So when you're thinking about the life that you want to have, this is the place where you want to dream. You want to see, all right, well, what kind of house do I want to live? Where do I want to live in? How do I want to educate my kids? What kind of clothes do I really want to wear? What kind of education do I really want? Like, what do I really want? And once you are super, super clear about what it is you really, really want, you simultaneously get super, super clear about what you don't want. So the next problem that people really have with their spending is they buy all sorts of crap that they really don't want. It doesn't enhance their life. It doesn't make their life any better. They're not on track to have, like they're buying stuff that doesn't make their life any better. Like it ends up as clutter. It ends up as just crap that will fill landfills, but they're not enjoying it. And so when we have a ton of stuff or whatever that we didn't enjoy, then we lose trust with ourselves. So then we're like, well, we got to go and we got to work all real hard to make all this money. And then we buy all this stupid crap. And then we have to live with our house being cluttered. So knowing what you do want really helps to figure out knowing what you don't want. Are you with me? Let me know in the comments if you're with me so far, if this makes sense to you. So we want to avoid spending our money on stuff that we don't want. But you won't necessarily know what you don't want until you know what you really, really want, because there's a lot of good stuff. There's a lot of good stuff to buy. There's a lot of good stuff that is not going to enhance the quality of your life, but it is going to look so good in the ads. It's going to look so good. And this is where the unintentional spending gets a little jammed up. This is about the impulse purchases, right? So when we spend, because we're like in the moment, we're like, yes, this is what I want, but it's not really a desire. It's not like a full life creation. It's like the bubble gum that's like on the side of the cash register. That's where the unintentional spending really costs us. So when you hear people talk about like the latte factor, and giving up coffee. Well, for some people, that coffee is a very unintentional, very habitual purchase that gets half drunk and left in their car when they go into work. If that's you, I would say give up your coffee. Do something, make it at home, whatever. But if you're out with a friend and you go and you sit and you buy your $7 coffee and you're going to sit and you're going to enjoy it and it's going to be part of the day that you create and part of the life that you create, well, then drink your $7 coffee and feel good about it. The other thing that really jams people up with their money is that when we spend money, when I buy one thing with my money, I am at the exact same. Look, I bought these earbuds. I don't remember how much they were, but let's just say they were $50, right? So I spent $50 on these things. Well, I simultaneously, at that exact same moment that I pulled the trigger to buy the $50 earbuds, I didn't go out to dinner. I didn't pay a bill with that exact same $50. I didn't buy new clothes with that $50. I didn't take my kids out with that $50. I didn't do a billion different things with that exact same $50. Now, if I compare what I did get for what I didn't get is way bigger, way more vast, and potentially way better than what I did get, even though I actually truly love these earbuds. That is another place that we really, really get jammed up when it comes to our spending. And the problem with that is it erodes our sense of self-trust with our money. So if I buy these earbuds and then I mentally go down the rabbit hole of comparing these earbuds to every other single thing I could have ever done with the money, then I'm going to feel silly, bad, wrong, stupid, whatever. And that's going to erode my sense of self-trust with myself, because then I think, well, when I spend the money, I don't buy anything good with it anyways. And it's not true that I didn't buy anything good. It's just when I compare what I got up against everything I didn't get, why would I, then what I did get doesn't look so good. And then it also impedes my ability to be grateful and my ability to appreciate the things that I did get. So there's really, really two things that you want to do to be able to spend intentionally. We already talked about them, but it's to know what it is that you do want, to get clear. I want to go on vacations, or I want to buy a house, or I want to update my kitchen, or I want to just, whatever the things are that you want. And then also you want to get super, super clear about the things that you don't want. So that way, when you're making your choices, you feel good about it and you can be congruent with yourself. So here's the deal is if this doesn't happen, there's so many competing desires and you see so many ads. You see more ads than any other humans have ever seen in the entire course of history. Your attention is vied for on TV, and even the things you buy have advertisements on them. Look at these earbuds have their logo, which is an advertisement. Like right now on Facebook, there's probably you are probably watching me and still able to see ads. If I look around the room that I'm in, I could probably count 50 different logos without leaving this chair. And so that comparison, that ability to be like, I bought this. Was I wrong? Should I have done something else with the money? Like it's a very real thing. And we go down that rabbit hole, it all gets wonky. So really ask yourself, what do I want? What do I want my life to look like? How many hours a week do I want to work? What is the life that I want to create and design? And so when you have that, then you can get your money to do that. And even if that goal is way out of reach or seems ridiculous, there's still steps to take where you could do it, and maybe takes longer than you think it would, but you'd be surprised once you set goals how fast it really goes. But those goals have to be rooted in like the true desire of things that are going to really make your life better, like true desires, not just like, I saw an ad for an Arby's beef sandwich and now I want a beef sandwich, right? Like so many of our purchases are these like impulse purchases that don't really make our lives better. So the two different sides of like spending issues are when we're too loosey-goosey with our spending, but we're not buying anything we want. Then we end up consuming, but it's not satisfying, right? Like if I spend all my money on like stupid shit, well, I'm not going to be satisfied with my purchases, and then I'm going to feel bad. And the other side is when if I'm like too constricted or I feel guilty, like I spend my money and then I feel guilty about it. I feel regretful about it. I feel remorseful about it. Then that's like restriction after the fact. So we want the best way to spend your money is to do it with intention, to do it on purpose, which means you got to know what you want, you got to know what you don't want. And so that way when you buy the thing that you do want, you can settle into the feeling of gratitude, you can settle into that feeling of appreciation, and you can what that does for you is it's congruent. I spent my life force on this and I love it. And then I trust myself with my money. When you spend your life force on something and you don't want it, you erode that sense of trust with yourself, and that costs you way more in the long run. So those are some things that I wanted to talk about intentional spending and spending money today. I will stay on for a minute. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask them in the comments, and if I'm still on, I will answer them. And just so you all know, so there's 3 different ways I work with clients. So the one of the ways that I work with clients is I have courses. So you can go to sharkschool.online and check out what I have in courses. Most of my courses are they're not too expensive. They go between like $17 and $500 depending on what it is that you're looking for. Those courses provide information. They're they're information on whatever, and I curate that. The next way that I work with clients is I have a membership called Cash Confident. And the community, Cash Confident community, what we do there is there's a full journey. So we take people from surviving to thriving in their money. There's coaching calls twice a month, and there's a ton of content. And it's not little dribs and drabs of content. It's not solving one problem. Like in the courses, you're going to solve one problem at a time. In the Cash Confident, there's an entire like curriculum of content, and then there's coaching to go with it, and it's really about implementation. And so we take people from the level of surviving, so like busy, broken, exhausted, learning to manage their money, all the way up maximizing their earnings, and then they'll get to the place where you start to accumulate money to work for you. And then that's the realm of Cash Confident. And then the third thing that I work with my clients on is I have a program for business owners and people very high up on the corporate ladder looking to make way more money in way less time, and that's called Limitless Wealth. So those are the 3 ways that I work with clients. And if you have any questions about it or you want a link, you can just shoot me a DM, or you can put it in the comments and I'll get it to you. All right, so those were the things I wanted to teach you today. I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for hanging out with me.